Hi, it's Stephanie and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about classic books that anybody and everybody can read that are not intimidating at all. I noticed when I was starting out with the classical books that I was quite intimidated by them, and there was really no reason for that. They're actually pretty easy books to read, the ones that I have chosen, so hopefully you will enjoy them as much as I enjoyed them. And my first book is, let's see, it's shiny cover, is Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca. As you may know, that this book has been adapted into a Netflix show. I did watch it. I don't know what your views of it are. Mine were, it's okay. But anyway, let's get into the book. So the plot is, it's about a timid heroine. She falls in love with Maxim de Winter. They are married very quickly after they have met. They have a whirlwind romance. He whisks her off to his estate. The home is adorned with many of his wife's portraits. She has a special room with her clothes in there. So there's a lot of memories in that house of Rebecca. It is a home that is plagued with mystery and misery. But there is more to Mr. Winter than meets the eye. The plot thickens, the story becomes even deeper. But I did enjoy it, and it was nice to read a book that isn't difficult to read. Anyone can pick this up and read it, and it's certainly not an intimidating classic. Hard Times by Charles Dickens. I have tried to read many of Charles Dickens' books. This is my second one, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed this story. It's quite a complex story in some ways, but it's incredibly easy to read. It has a northern dialect written into it, so maybe some readers will find that a little bit tricky to get through. I'm okay with it. The characters are complex. You meet many people from all walks of life, from those who work in the factories to those who own the factories. Discover that it doesn't matter where you are financially, you've all got some sort of issues in your life. There's a lot more to this story, and I think everybody should at least give this book a try if you're trying to get into Charles Dickens. This is one of his, not easiest books, but one of his most interesting books, or at least I found. And it gives you an insight of what it was like in the time of Charles Dickens. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Would you buy it? Absolutely, yes. Particularly Penguin English Library editions, nice paperback, and you don't have to worry about breaking the spine too much. I particularly liked his character build-up. I really enjoyed his mockery of some of the characters, and it's a complex yet simple novel to read. So yeah, definitely if you want to get into Charles Dickens, have a go at reading Hard Times. Animal Farm by George Orwell. I read this book as a teenager, probably when I was 14 years old. At school, it was part of the curriculum. Everybody in school read this book. Don't think everybody has to read this anymore. I've recently made my children read this book, so I sat down with them and made sure they read it out loud and understand what was going on. So yeah, highly recommend everybody reading this book, particularly in the political climate that we are currently in. Very interesting read. It's written as a children's novel. Let's say I would say it was like an adult story written as a child's book. This is basically about the animals on the farm revolting against the farmer and wanting to take over the farm. But the farm still needs to provide food for all the animals that are there. So it's the animals that are taking the lead over the farm. Pigs are the clever and intelligent ones and quietly take the lead in making all the decisions. It's brilliantly executed, it's emotionally charged. My takeaway from this book, and I think everybody's takeaway from this book, is some are more equal than others. Do you think that rings true today? It's a really short read. You'll get a lot out of it, you'll take a lot out of it. It's quite scary in many ways. I absolutely recommend buying this book. And in this day and age, this book is more important than ever. And I think that's why a lot of people are trying to get their hands on this book and read it. So if you haven't read Animal Farm, you really, really should. That's my takeaway. Tess of the Deubervilles by Thomas Hardy. I have tried to read some of Thomas Hardy books before, and I think it was Far From the Madding Crowd or something along those lines. Never finished that off. I think I got probably a third way through and then didn't finish it. This one, however, I was going to make sure that I read it all the way through, and I'm glad that I did. It's quite a thick book, probably take, I don't know, it took me about a week or two to get through it, just because I like to read books in small digestible pieces sometimes. It isn't a particularly difficult book to read. It follows a story of Tess, whose last name and the family history suggest that her name and title had been taken away from the family. She is a country girl and she becomes a milkmaid, and she falls in love with one of the workers there. However, Tess has a past. She has to decide whether to keep the secret or tell her future husband. It's a wonderful story, it's beautifully written, it beautifully describes the English countryside as it was back then. And at first when I read this book, I just thought, oh, is that it? At the end. But I was thinking about it, and it really got under my skin for quite some time. I think I was thinking about it for about 2 weeks or so. And I guess this book was scandalous for its time, and I didn't really see it as scandalous when I was reading it because we've moved on so much and so far. But for its time, it was actually scandalous. No matter where you start with your classic book challenge, this one went, like I said, I couldn't stop thinking about it. It really got under my skin. It takes a hard look at women, workers in that time, and the hypocrisy with men in that period. It's just brutal moving, and a story I won't easily forget. I can understand why a lot of people love this book. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. You watch an orphan girl named Jane Eyre. You watch her grow up into womanhood. She becomes a governess and falls for Mr. Rochester of Thornfield Hall. But all is not simple. There is a pass at Thornfield Hall, and it catches up with Mr. Rochester. Easily, by far, my favourite classic book ever. Jane is a strong woman. She believes in making her own way in life and to be valued for the work that she does. However, she does want to be loved and she wants to have a sense of belonging. This for me is a 5 out of 5, and I highly, highly recommend buying at least one of the Charlotte Bronte books, but Jane Eyre's by far. If you want to see the harsh realities of England in the 19th century, particularly in Northern England, Brontes do not fail to give you a real picture of what life was like back then. It's certainly not romanticised, it's certainly not a story about balls and dressing up and having the ideal social life. There's none of that, which I love about the Bronte sisters. Excellent. Everything about this book is excellent. And also, if you're not aware, there is a show, I think it's PBS, and it's a show about the Bronte family and the sisters in particular, and it's called The Walk Invisible. So I recently purchased that show. It's a 2-part series. It was a really good show. It showed you what a difficult life they had. For Charlotte Bronte, she was named Curry Bell, and the other sisters, like Emily, they also used male names to get themselves published also. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I really, really recommend the books that I've shown. There's nothing intimidating about them. Yes, some of them are quite thick, some of them are quite thin. And I will also do another update once I read some more books of other authors on the classical genre. But if you've read any of these books, please comment below. If you have any questions, comment below. I will try and respond to you as quickly as I can. I'm still new to YouTube, so I'm still kind of finding my way around it. But yeah, I do hope you like this video, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to click subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and click that bell for notifications.